Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Friday, November 17th. Over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we've only had really precipitation up in the mountains of central and eastern Idaho and down into northern Utah. Still, most areas seeing below normal precipitation, but there are some small areas in the higher terrain that have seen above normal precipitation in the last couple of weeks. However, still some very dry spots over southern and eastern Utah and even western and northern Nevada. New snowfall over the last 72 hours as a storm system moves in. We have had some new snow from the Sierra eastward across Nevada and Utah in the higher terrain, and then also up into central Idaho, mainly just north of the Great Basin. Our snow depth is indicated on the right, and as you can see, really snow in all areas is well below normal for the time of year. The only exception will be in part of the Sierra, where we are seeing near to just above normal snowpack in some areas, especially from Lake Tahoe south. The satellite loop from this morning shows a strong area of low pressure off the west coast, and this will continue funneling in moisture to California and Nevada especially, also to southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin as this low tracks eastward as we go through the weekend. So for today, we will see that moisture moving into mainly California, the Sierra, and western areas of Nevada going into today and tonight. Dispersion will remain good over parts of Nevada and southern areas of the Great Basin as the south to southwesterly winds kick up out ahead of this low, otherwise poor to the north. And you can see from the transport winds, no real strong transport winds, just enough to keep some of the dispersion elevated, especially as you go into later in the day. Morning hours will still have inversions in place and even some foggy areas, especially with some of the moisture. Mixing heights will remain high across Nevada and Utah and a little bit lower further north. Temperatures today will be near seasonal averages, especially across Nevada and Utah, and a little bit cooler up north into Idaho, but again, near normal for the time of year. Relative humidity with this system moving in will remain above 30% in most, if not all, areas of the Great Basin. As we move into Saturday, this low finally starts to move eastward with another trough still off the Pacific Northwest coast. So plenty of moisture across the Great Basin going especially into Saturday. So we will see, again, mountain snowfall, lowering snow levels as that area of low pressure moves across, but generally rain and showers in the lower elevations. Dispersion will also improve as this system tracks east. Transport winds will pick up a little bit, especially over the western half of the Great Basin and then in some of the higher terrain areas of Idaho and Utah. Mixing heights will remain generally moderate to high, except a little bit lower as you move further north into Idaho and Wyoming. Temperatures will come down a few degrees on Saturday as this low tracks east, and relative humidity will remain still quite high. As we move into Sunday, this system moves eastward over the eastern half of the Great Basin with a ridge of high pressure now building off the west coast. So we will see drier conditions in the Sierra and western areas of the Great Basin with that moisture pushing eastward. Otherwise, as this low tracks across, we will see better dispersion in all areas. So definitely good news for our prescribed burning that is going on across many areas of the Great Basin currently. Transport winds for Sunday as this low tracks east, we will see more of an increase in transport winds, and our mixing heights will definitely increase as well. Temperatures will be dropping on Sunday as this low tracks across. We'll see highs in the 40s and 50s across most areas and in the 60s in the far south. Otherwise, relative humidity will still remain above 20 or 30%, even in the areas that are drying across Nevada, and higher as you move further east with that moisture. Looking at the precipitation over the next few days, you can see all areas really getting at least some light shower activity. Some of the heavier spots with the moisture will definitely be in the Sierra, where we'll see certainly higher elevation snowfall above 7,000 feet at least. And then also into the higher terrain of Nevada, Utah, and Idaho, we will see better amounts up high of new snowfall and precipitation, especially into the higher mountains of central and northern Utah and up into central Idaho. As we go into early next week, we will see that ridge off the west coast build eastward, so we will see drier conditions and more inversions in place, especially with the recent moisture and the new snowfall. We could see some foggy areas along with this ridge moving in, at least certainly in the morning hours. Otherwise, dispersion will still be quite good as the system exits over southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin and definitely be deteriorating across the west. As we go into Tuesday, that ridge continues to push eastward, so we will again see more inversions going towards Tuesday region-wide, along with poor dispersion. And then by Wednesday, we do have another area of low pressure dropping down from the north, so we will see some clouds move into Idaho, maybe some light showers on Wednesday, And then by Thursday, we will likely see clouds and some showers drop further south across Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah, with still drier conditions on the west side of the basin. Precipitation as we go into the early part of next week, Tuesday through Wednesday, generally dry until that next system drops south, and then we will see that lighter shower activity move into northern areas and even possibly down into central areas of Nevada and Utah. And then the 7-day total precip with all of the storms. Again, the better moisture will certainly be in the mountains, but most areas will at least see some light amounts of precipitation, with some areas seeing some wetting rains. The 8 to 14-day outlook taking us into the last week of November shows warmer and drier conditions, but we still will have at least some systems potentially moving through, giving us a break in the benign weather. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.